All right, today we're diving into something fascinating, the world of our digital front lines, the cybersecurity teams who are out there protecting all of us. But here's the twist. What happens when those very defenders can't agree on their own battle plan?
It's a question that sounds like it's straight out of a comic book, right? But in the high-stakes world of cybersecurity, it is a very real and honestly a very urgent problem. You've got these elite teams fighting a constant 24/7 war against hackers. But what if their biggest weakness isn't some fancy new malware? What if it's a fundamental disagreement on how to even fight the war in the first place? So who are these digital soldiers anyway? To really get what's going on, you first have to understand the battlefield. So let's break down the anatomy of what's called a Security Operations Center, or a SOC.
Think of a SOC as the digital watchtower for any big organization. It's this centralized hub, a dedicated team whose entire job is to watch, detect, analyze, and shut down cybersecurity threats around the clock. They are literally the guardians at the gate.
So here's how it usually works. You've got Tier 1 analysts, they're the first responders, sifting through thousands of alerts. If something looks sketchy, they kick it up to Tier 2 for a real deep dive. And for the really nasty, complex threats, that goes to the Tier 3 specialists. We're talking the elite threat hunters. It's a clear chain of command, totally built for speed.
On paper, that structure sounds completely foolproof, but a recent study of 18 SOC professionals found a hidden conflict just simmering beneath the surface. A conflict between the very people who are supposed to be working shoulder to shoulder.
A structured workflow is only as good as the people running it. So the really critical question is this. Despite these clear roles and responsibilities, are these teams actually in sync, or are they pulling in completely different directions?
And this is where it gets absolutely wild. The study found a huge gap in perception between managers and their analysts on the most critical issues. I mean, look at this. A 44% disagreement on automation and a 40% disagreement on how to even measure success. This isn't just a minor squabble, you know? It's a fundamental breakdown at the very heart of our cyber defenses.
So where's all this friction coming from? Let's dive into the top 3 areas of disagreement to really understand what's going on inside these SOCs.
First up, automation. Managers, they're under pressure to be more efficient, so they see automation as the holy grail. As one manager said, flat out, I always need more automation. But the analysts on the ground, they are deeply skeptical. They worry it's just a buzzword that vendors use to sell products that actually deliver less quality and just make their jobs harder.
Okay, this second point of disconnect is all about how you measure success. Managers love simple, hard numbers. But listen to what this analyst had to say. A useless metric can be the number of events. It is a way to make it seem like your SOC is improving. Wow, that's a pretty damning statement.
The analysts are basically saying that just counting the number of tickets they close tells you absolutely nothing about how serious those threats were or the quality of their work. To them, these metrics are just a way to paint a pretty picture for the higher-ups that has zero connection to the real fight they're in every single day.
And here's where the perspective totally flips. On the third major issue, their tools. A full 2/3 of managers said they had significant problems with their equipment. For the bosses, it's a huge concern.
But the analysts, they see it completely differently. For them, tools fail all the time. It's just part of the job. They don't see it as a crisis. They just roll up their sleeves and get it done manually. It just shows this massive disconnect between a manager's desire for a perfect system and an analyst's reality of just getting the job done no matter what it takes.
So what's the big deal, right? You might be thinking this is just some internal HR drama. But the consequences of this are very real and, frankly, very dangerous. This is a crack in our digital shield.
No, this isn't just about team morale. When a team can't agree on its goals, its tools, or even what winning looks like, it simply can't operate effectively. And in the world of cybersecurity, ineffective is just another word for vulnerable. During a cyber attack, every single second counts. And if the defenders are busy debating strategy, or arguing over metrics, or fighting with their own equipment, the response to a real threat slows to a crawl. And that delay, that's the exact window of opportunity an attacker needs to win.
But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. The same study that found this problem also points toward a solution. So let's take a look at how we can start to bridge this pretty dangerous gap. The advice here is really clear and actionable. It all starts with communication.
Managers have to explain the why behind their decisions, especially with metrics. They have to actually listen to what analysts are saying about the tools and automation, and both sides need to get creative and find getter ways to measure what truly matters, not just what's easy to count.
And here you have it, straight from the study's conclusion. It all boils down to one thing: communication. It is the absolute first step that managers and analysts have to take to get back on the same page and start fighting the same fight.
So this leaves us with a really critical thought. The strength of our cybersecurity doesn't just come down to firewalls and software. It comes down to people. And if those people, our very first line of defense, are divided, how secure can any of us really be?